Hey you guys, and welcome back. I am in a new setup. It's actually my bedroom again. I filmed my February favorites in my bedroom, but now I have stuff in the background. So I think I'm gonna stick with this background for a little while and see how I like it. I do like the background in my living room, like with my desk and my bookcase in the background, but I think this is what I wanna use for the next little bit. Anyway, today I wanted to do a video on two different dupe eyeshadow palettes. I actually don't own any high-end eyeshadow palettes, and so I wanted to just do a video comparing two different affordable options. Today I wanted to do an eyeshadow look with one side using the Makeup Revolution Rose Gold eyeshadow palette. This one is a really popular eyeshadow dupe of the Huda Beauty Rose Gold palette. I've used this a ton of times before. I think it's around the $15 mark, like Canadian. And then the other side is actually going to be a first impressions because I have not tried this yet. This is the Bad Habit Aphrodite eyeshadow palette. This one you can buy off Shop Hush. This is obviously a much more spot-on dupe of the Huda Beauty Rose Gold palette in the way it looks, but I have not tried this yet, so I have no clue how it applies on the eyes. Like I said earlier, I've never tried the high-end versions of these palettes. I have not even swatched or touched Huda Beauty eyeshadows, so I'm not going to be comparing it to the formula of the higher end dupe. I'm just going to be comparing the two options. So I hope some of you guys find this helpful. If you're interested in buying either one of these, I hope this video will help you make your decision. I'm really excited because like I said, I've not tried this yet, so I'm really excited to see how these will turn out. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and let's go ahead and get started. I feel like the lighting is a bit off because I have a window beside me, and then I tried to move I want to move it a little closer. And then I have my ring light right there on this side to kind of counteract, balance out the lights. I don't know if it's working, kind of the situation, but I do feel like the lighting is a little off. So I'm going to start off by applying some eyeshadow base. I only use eyeshadow bases when I'm doing like a more dramatic look. On an everyday basis, I wouldn't apply eyeshadow primer or an eyeshadow base at all. But because I'm doing a more dramatic look today, I think I'm going to do like a cranberry smoky eye. I'm going to apply a base, and I'm going to be using the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in the shade Rust. I love this base. Really good at making the eyeshadows pop on your eyes. I love the NYX Jumbo eye pencils. They're very affordable and they are just awesome. I'm just gonna actually blend this in with my finger. I think I'm gonna use the Makeup Rev on this side and then the Bad Habit one on this side. I'm going to take a fluffy blending brush, and I think I want to dip into this shade right here, and I want to blend this around the edges. And then from the Aphrodite palette, I want to take this shade right here called Koi in this palette. In the Makeup Rev one, it's called Independent. Right off the bat, these shadows are so powdery. Like there's so much fallout, way more than the Makeup Rev one. Both of the palettes have nice mirrors in them, which is great. I love it when there's mirrors in eyeshadow. Ooh, I'm so used to like going back and forth and blending as I go. I almost blended with this shadow onto this eye. I felt like zooming you guys up a little bit more. I think I'm gonna take my finger and I'm going to dip into the shade, what is this called? Dirty Rich from the Makeup Rev shade. I'm gonna take this shade right here. Excuse my nails, they are hideous. I'm going to use this right onto my lid. Ooh. That is really nice. I already know I like the Makeup Revolution eyeshadow palette. I've used it before and I find the metallics really nice and the matte's really easy to blend. It'll be cool to like see how the Bad Habit one compares. I'm going to take the shade Love from this palette. Yes, Love is the dupe. So this shade right here, again with my finger. Oh, these are a lot. This is a lot chunkier than the Makeup Revolution one. Not quite as smooth. Ooh! Wow, both of these, wow, that's so vibrant and intense. This is like way more intense than the Makeup Rev. I have to go back over the Makeup Rev one to make sure that it like, it looks kind of the same. Is that picking up on camera at all? Wow. I'm gonna go back in, maybe with my like index finger, I'm gonna go back in with the Makeup Rev shade because I felt like it needs to get way more intense to match the other eye. So what I'm noticing between the two eyes is that the Makeup Rev one, the formula was a lot smoother. It wasn't as chunky feeling. It did go onto my eyelids really, really intense and really nice. But then the Bad Habit shade was actually a lot more intense. Like it has more of a foiled look to it. I don't know if you can tell. It definitely looks more foiled and metallic than this side, but formula of this one was a lot chunkier and grittier almost. So, I mean, both of them have their pros, both of them have their cons, but I think they both look really good. I think I'm gonna take the shade Not Yours. It's this pinky shade. I'm just going to blend into my crease. I feel like most of my eyeshadow looks turn out the same because I usually just like a really blended look. I don't really like cut creases and things like that. I'm gonna take the shade Flirt from the Bad Habit palette. I am cleaning off my brushes in between each of these so I'm not like cross-contaminating, I guess. It seems to be coming out a little bit darker in color than the Makeup Revolution shade. It's kind of like looking a bit more purple, I guess. I mean, it's still blending out really nicely, so that's good. I really wish I had washed my makeup brushes before filming this. I am a dingus. Okay, I'm gonna take the shade that we used originally, the shade Independent, with that same brush. I always do this with my eyeshadow looks. I will blend around the edges to get rid of any harsh lines, also to de-intensify it a little bit. So I'm going to use this shade to kind of smooth out and blend out the edges of the pink shade we used. I just like things to diffuse into my like skin color. Yeah, the Makeup Rev formula of eyeshadows I find is so good. Like it is so easy to blend. The shadows just melt into your skin. Like it's a great formula. And then I'm going to take the shade Koi from the Aphrodite palette and I'm going to do the same thing and just blend around the edges of the shade Flirt just to clean it up and de-intensify. Is that a word? I don't know. Okay, I think I'm going to deepen up my outer corner now. The thing that annoys me with the Makeup Revolution palette is that there is no black. The good thing about the Aphrodite palette is that there is a matte black. You get more shades in the Aphrodite palette and you get more mattes as well. It just really annoys me that they didn't throw in a black in the Makeup Revolution side. I think a black would have just completed this palette. Like, why would you not put a black? So normally I would use a black with this eyeshadow look, but since I don't have a black, I'm going to just deepen up the outer corner with the darkest shade of brown I can find. In the Makeup Revolution palette, it's the shade called Backup, and I'm going to just use this one to deepen up the outer corner. Really irks me. Like, why is it so hard to throw in a black? I don't know. It's not really doing it for me. Like, this shade isn't dark enough to make a difference. Then while I'm over here, I'm also going to dip back into the pink shade, kind of repeat the process of blending. And then I'm going to clean off my brush and dip into the shade, I think Seduction from the Aphrodite palette is the correct match. So it's the shade Seduction. Oh, so much kickback. Holy smokes. Just like a powdery mess on the palette right now. This dark brown is so much deeper and more pigmented in this palette versus the Makeup Revolution side. Like that just seemed to do a lot more with the same amount of product and the same brush. But that being said, I don't think it's blending out as nicely. And likewise, taking the same brush, adding more of the pink shade. And then because this side is so much more intense in like color, I'm just going to take more of the matte cream and blend around the edges. I have to deepen up the shade from the Makeup Rev side, so I'm going to take more of Back Talk and really pack it on just because I want it to be as intense. On both sides, I'm going to deepen up the lid shade a little bit and add a little bit more with my finger. And then for the inner corner, I'm going to take the shade Hold Up from the Makeup Revolution side and pop that into my inner corner. Same thing on the other eye. I'm going to take the shade Love and intensify it. And I'm going to take the shade Tease, which is the match for the Hold Up shade, and pop that. Oh, they aren't exactly the same. This one on the Bad Habit side is way more of a pop. Shoot. It's like way more bright than this side. I'm gonna have to add more from on this side. Also like a slightly different shade of yellow. Like this shade is more gold and this shade is more like chartreuse yellow. Sucks. Okay, so this is what the eyes are looking like now. I know it looks super messy. I am going to clean up under my eyes, apply the rest of my makeup, and then come back and finish off the lower lash line as well as eyelashes and whatnot. And then I will give you guys a final like look and round up the two palettes and what I think. Okay, so I have applied the rest of my makeup. I also applied mascara to my upper lash line, some lashes, and some eyeliner to tightline my upper lashes. And my lash glue is obviously still drying, so that's what you can see there. To finish off the look, I'm going to take the shade called Uh-Oh from the Makeup Rev palette. I don't want to do too much on my lower lash line because I feel like it's going to be too intense, but I'm just going to run this along those lower lashes. Using a different brush, a pencil brush, I'm going to take the shade Backup, which we use to deepen up the outer corner, and deepen up the outer corner of my lower lash line. I would totally use black here. I like having a black on my lower lash line when I'm doing an intense look, but there isn't one. Then on the other eye, I'm going to take the shade Jealousy. Jealousy looks like the, nope, maybe Blushing. Ah, shoot. I think the match for Uh-Oh is Blushing, which is this shade right here. It's not a complete match. This one looks a lot lighter. I'm going to have to use this. This is so pigmented. Okay, cleaning off that pencil brush, I'm going to take the shade Seduction and deepen up the outer half. Seduction I find is a little bit trickier to work with. It's stuck to my eyes. It doesn't blend as nicely. I'm just going to apply some mascara to my lower lashes and then I'll be back. So this is the completed eye look. I just popped on my mascara. I know my lashes aren't looking like exactly the same on both eyes. I can never get my eyelashes to look even on both eyes, even though I don't trim them or anything. I feel like this side, like, I don't know. I feel like my eyes are different shapes and that's why they always look ridiculous. Anyway, this is what the eye look is looking like. Honestly, I love the way the look turned out on both sides. I like the colors and the cranberry-ness of it. I know it looks very fall, but I really like these types of colors. I'm gonna zoom out and give you guys my final thoughts on these palettes. All right, so to summarize these palettes, I honestly feel like they both have their pros and they both have their cons. Like I mentioned, I really do like the Makeup Revolution eyeshadow palette. I think it's a really great formula. I love the mattes in here. I like that the shimmers are super smooth and they blend out really nicely. So I do love the formula of these. The downside for this palette honestly is the price point. I think it's around, I'm like almost 100% sure it's around like $15. It is more expensive than the Bad Habit shadow palette. Plus you get less shades, and I really dislike that they did not throw in a matte black. I felt like the matte black is like a crucial part of this color scheme. I just think that you need it to, well, I personally need a black to like deepen up my outer corner, to line my lash line. I just feel like a black is so useful. And with these shades where they're all kind of a similar tone, you really want something contrasting to just add some smokiness, add some variety to your looks. So yeah, I feel like the matte black was like a huge downside to me for this palette. I love the formula. I think the formula is really top notch for both metallics and for the mattes, but the price point is a downside and the missing matte black shade is also a downside. For the Bad Habit eyeshadow palette, I was actually pleasantly surprised with this palette. Like I mentioned, this is the first time I've used it. This is the first time I've even applied it with a brush onto my eyes or anything. So I was pleasantly surprised with the way that this blended out. Didn't really have a problem with any of the shades except for maybe Seduction. Seduction seemed to be a little bit harder to blend out. The other downside with the formula, at least for the shades that I've used, just like the kickback in the pan, not really fallout on my eyes. I didn't get too much on either side, but definitely in the Bad Habit palette, there's a lot more kickback inside the pans. They were a lot more powdery. So that's another thing to note. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but it is something that differs between the two palettes. But yeah, I was pretty happy with the formula. The difference here, I think, with the formula is that the metallics from the Makeup Revolution side are a lot smoother. They're a lot more buttery, whereas the ones from here are more chunky, more glittery, and just a little grittier in texture. But that being said, I think the actual pigmentation on the metallics from this palette and the mattes as well, I just think overall the pigmentation from this palette was a little bit stronger than the pigmentation in the Makeup Revolution side. Personally, I don't really mind that. I like shadows that are a little bit less pigmented because I tend to go overboard a lot of the times and I don't want to spend forever blending out shades if I've applied too much. So it's really personal preference. If you like things that are super pigmented, definitely this one has more pigment versus the Makeup Revolution side. I do think this one is a better deal. You're getting more shadows, it's cheaper, and you get that matte black, which is a huge plus for me. So I do think this one is a better deal, but I feel like I'm just going back and forth to compare these, but it is also less accessible. You can only buy this off, I think you can only buy it off the Shop Hush website or the Shop Hush app, whereas this one I'm pretty sure you can find in drugstores and off the Tam Beauty website. I think it's switched now. I think it's just the Revolution makeup website. Actually, overall on the eyes, most of the shades were like an exact match, except for the one that I tried that was Tease in this palette, and I can't remember the shade in the other palette. I think it was Hold Up in the Makeup Revolution palette. Those ones are definitely different. Like my inner corner is totally a different shade right now, but most of the other shades matched pretty well. Hopefully that gives you guys a good like roundup of the two different palettes. Anyway, yeah, that is pretty much all I wanted to do for this video. I hope you guys liked this idea in my Shop Hush haul. I did get a ton of makeup palettes, like eyeshadow palettes from them, and I would love to do more of these types of videos. Let me know if you want me to do a video similar to this one comparing the two shadow palettes for any of the other Shop Hush palettes. We'll link my haul in the video below if you want to check that out. I feel like I talked forever and this video took forever to film, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you would like to see more, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!